Want to run faster, jump higher, move with more power? The Sports Recovery and Development Program at Bridges Therapy Group builds speed, strength, agility, and endurance while correcting movement issues that can cause injury. Give your athlete the edge. Schedule an assessment today at srdathlete.com.
Love where you live and play with Lindsay Management. Affordable apartments and golf memberships at 9 and 18-hole courses. Buying or selling? Trust Lindsay and Associates. Serving the community for over 50 years. Lindsay, #1 in apartments, golf, and real estate.
Week 0 of high school football is about to kick off. Brey joins me to take a look at some of the games we're keeping an eye on around our area and in our state. It is Friday, September 12th, and this is Varsity Vibe Today. Welcome into Varsity Vibe Today on this Friday. I am your host, Alyssa Orange. Always great to be with you. And before we get into the football action happening later on tonight, I just want to say, if you haven't listened to any of our Varsity Vibe Stories episodes where I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with coaches and players, really love for you to check that out. It has been so incredible to learn more about these coaches and athletes' stories, and we're here to share them with you. So go and listen to some of those Varsity Vibe stories if you haven't already. All right, let's get to it. It is time for our Lewis Automotive opening drive. The fall kickoff event is happening now at Lewis Automotive Group. Unbeatable prices and special financing. Your next vehicle ready for you right now at one of their 3 locations, Fayetteville, Springdale, and Farmington. Brey Cook joining me now. Brey, we've got some games to talk about, and the first game is our game of the week, which is Parkview Bryant, which I think is probably everyone's game of the week when they looked at the list of games on this Friday night.
Yes. Last week we talked about Conway and Bentonville being Goliath versus Goliath. Well, that's really what you got this week with Parkview and Bryant. Two of the best teams in the state, and respectively in their own divisions, 7 and 5A. But Parkview is up for a challenge, and last year, they kind of got that beat down a little bit, got humbled, but by a very good Bryant football team, who's just as good this year. Had a little bit of struggles, but not a lot of struggles, and then not a lot of turnover throughout the offseason. But Parkview, I think, is going to come roaring back, and a team that's got something to prove. That after that Bryant game last year went through and had a very successful season. Has carried that through off season, and from what I understand, is really excited for their matchup tonight. A little rematch for the Parkview.
Going to be a fun one there in Central Arkansas. Also in Central Arkansas, Rogers hitting the road again. Going to play Sheridan. Again, this is a Rogers team, and I talked with their quarterback, Jeff Reagan, earlier this week. They've just been really steady, and they've been able to put up over 40 points in each of their first 2 games. Yeah.
Rogers looks good. They're a good football team right now, and like you said, steady. Last year, and especially playing in the 7A West, when you've got these great football teams who had a lot of past success, every single week, for a team like Rogers to just keep that steady momentum and go into this game, not concerned about Sheridan, just concerned about what they do and continuing to perfect their craft and just kind of fixing those tiny little nuances that make them roll and make them have success. They need to go out there and just focus on their game Friday or tonight, and I think we'll come away with a strong Rogers win.
Yeah, you look back at their game they had last week. They were up 14-0 in the first 3 minutes of that game, and then they just never let off. And so it's been really interesting to see how this Rogers team has just really been able to take care of business and set the tone early. So this one should be a good one for sure. All right, Springdale at Bishop Kelly. Springdale, another challenge early to start the season.
It is, and last year they were able to take care of business, and man, Brett Hobbs is one of my favorite all-time head coaches, and especially you look, this is the 20th anniversary of that 05 Springdale football team, and I don't know if these kids on that football team know what that meant for a guy like me. I've got a lot of signatures, a lot of cool game balls, but in my living room is that 05 Springdale team, and it's got all their signatures. And Springdale football is really special. And I don't know, just for me, that feeling of that 20-year reunion, that 20-year anniversary, I'm fired up for Springdale Bulldog football, and they're going to get a one tonight.
That's a cool piece of memorabilia. I love that. And I guess I didn't put that together either. 20 years. That's awesome. All right. So Springdale, again, going to Bishop Kelly. We're going to take a quick break. We have 3 more games to break down after this.
If you're an athlete that wants to improve your game, maybe improve your 40, jump higher, have better agility, Bridges Therapy Group's Sport Recovery and Development Program can help. They've been helping student athletes reach their highest potential for quite a while now. They've got a team that includes physical therapists, athletic trainers, personal trainers, and occupational therapists. And together, they design individual plans to build speed, explosive power, agility, strength, and endurance. Whether your athlete's returning from rehab or working for a competitive edge, SRD provides the training and guidance to help them succeed. Schedule your athlete's assessment today at srdathlete.com.
Quick Turf is the go-to team for building championship-level sports facilities for public schools, private schools, and the entire school district. They also install beautiful backyard putting greens for homeowners. Known for lifelike, eco-friendly turf, Quick Turf handles everything from design and lighting to drainage and final landscaping. Their all-in-one approach delivers high-performance surfaces for athletes and low-maintenance greens that last for years. With preventative maintenance programs, they keep every field and green looking game day ready. Schedule a free consultation today at quickturf.com. That's QIKturf.com.
Matt Lewis with Lewis Automotive Group, excited to announce our trade-in, trade-up event. During this event, you get thousands extra for your trade value. Plus, it's all backed by the Lewis Guarantee. Double the factory warranty. That's a 10-year, 120,000-mile powertrain. Plus, you get 1 year worth of maintenance on us. This event's only going on at Lewis Automotive Group and is at all of our locations in Fayetteville, Springdale, and Farmington.
Could a little extra support help your child shine even brighter? Bridges Therapy Group empowers kids to live their best life with expert pediatric therapy services tailored to their needs. Their team offers occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy, guiding families from the first evaluation to every milestone along the way. Give your child the tools to succeed and shine. Visit btgpeds.com to learn more and schedule your appointment today. That's btgpeds.com.
Love where you live and play with Lindsay Management. Enjoy affordable apartments with community amenities like fitness centers and resort-style pools at select locations. Golf memberships are also available at beautiful 9 and 18-hole courses. Buying or selling a home, commercial, or investment property? Trust Lindsay and Associates, serving the community and bringing great neighbors together for over 50 years. Lindsay, #1 in apartments, golf, and real estate.
All right, got 3 more games to talk about. Brey Cook joining me. Brey, this is one you're going to watch in person, get to go down and see Greenwood in action as Harbor goes down there to see if they can try to play spoiler with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we talked about last week the Tim Tebow, the promise. Ain't it great to be a Gator? And Harbor was able to do that to Farmington. They were able to show up. Farmington's a great football team. Harbor took care of business, played a physical 4-quarter football game. Can they do it again versus a team that's had a lot of success, very talented? Kane Archer is one of the best players in the state and has proven that week in, week out for years now. But to me, you look at Harbor's offense and Bryce Owens, their quarterback, very talented two-dimensional player who showed that last week. Siler Moore on defense is just an outstanding football player. Harbor has the pieces. And what you're not supposed to do as a coach is you're not supposed to say, well, Harbor played Broken Arrow pretty well that week 0 game, had a couple busts, let it get away from him. Broken Arrow goes the next week, takes Fayetteville to overtime. And you're not supposed to do that. That's wrong. You're not supposed to compare those things, kind of see where you're at. But we're going to do that right now. And Harbor's right there knocking on the door to a lot of success. And obviously, like I said, Greenwood is the team to beat in the state, in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to take everything for the Harbor Wildcats to win that game. They're going to have to play clean. They're going to have to not hurt themselves, shoot themselves in the foot. But if they play the perfect football game, they get a shot in Springdale.
I want to elaborate a little bit. I think I was there watching that Harbor game last week as well, and Reed McAllister also very impressive. But you mentioned Bryce Owens, and I remember something that Kane Archer and I talked about previous to the season, and he said, we might not be the most talented team that Greenwood has had, and they know that. And watching that offense for Harbor, I think they could go down to Greenwood and go toe to toe with that defense and see if they can put up points on the board.
No, I agree, and I really do. I think it's a great matchup. Obviously, you've got one team that's had the success, one of the teams that's learning how to be successful, and it's a fun matchup for us tonight.
Next game on the list, Siloam Springs at Pea Ridge. What do you like about this game?
Well, two teams that are not having the best start to their football season. Two teams I think that are young, that are in a tough spot in their conference. Really. I sit here and I'm wearing my colors, okay. So I'm not gonna say you hear about rat poison all the time. You hear about talking a team up and you get high and you get high and you get high and all of a sudden the team comes out of nowhere and beats you. Well, Pea Ridge is not going to get that on this podcast. Tristan German, a very talented player, but he's got to come out there and execute offensively, defensively for Pea Ridge. He's a two-way guy that's really got to come out and execute and just not. He's going to have to put some weight on his shoulders. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to be that guy. If you're Hinojosa on the offensive defensive line for Pea Ridge, you can't just assume you're going to beat Siloam Springs. Mm-hmm. You have to show up, everything you got, 4 quarters, not just the physicality of it, but understand the X's and O's piece of it too. You're going to have to show up and you have to play a little bit above your talent level because you're not good enough to walk in there and just expect to win. And so that's what I'm going to tell the Pea Ridge Blackhawks today is don't expect a W because it's Siloam. You're going to have to play above your talent level to win this one.
If you're going to make a Tim Tebow reference on our podcast, I feel like I'm allowed to make a Jameis Winston reference on our podcast and say that he's about to have to put the team on his back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go all the way.
Yes.
My team on my back. We went the whole way. That's what he's got to do for Pea Ridge. So we'll see how that one goes tonight. All right, last but certainly not least, this is the game that I am going to, the Battle of Highway 62 between Farmington and Prairie Grove. All of the years that I was at Pig Trail and went and shot games every now and then, I've never gone to a Farmington Pea Ridge game or Farmington Prairie Grove game. And that series since 2000 is split 12-12. And it is one of those games that it is a rivalry where the stands are packed. And I'm just excited to experience it for the very first time. What do you like about it?
You're right. We talked about this on our first podcast, how these rivalry games just mean so much more and bring out unbelievable outcomes and incredible games. And this is why you play it, and it's why you coach it. It is for atmospheres like this. And that being said, and I have a lot of love for the Prairie Grove football team and community, but Farmington still is a very powerful animal that like we talked about, got humbled a little bit last Friday night. I see them roaring back tonight.
I think you're right, too. And even though I don't think they're going to have Aiden Lester at quarterback, it'll be Slade Norwood. I think that this Farmington team, very, very talented and takes care of business against Prairie Grove, but we'll have to see. Of course, you can follow along with us on social media. That is where we're going to be posting videos and photos and behind-the-scenes access, just everything you need to know. And Brey really leading the charge with our creatives, making sure that we've got people everywhere we need to be.
Yeah, and we got an incredible group. Jax will be at Bentonville West. Alex, Bentonville, and Fayetteville are both off tonight. So I have a couple of our creatives, him and Isaac, will be taking the night off. But another one of our incredible creatives, Taylor Hill, does an incredible job. She was with us at Harbor Farmington last week. And then we've got Caleb over at Mountain Home. And let me tell you, these kids are so talented in what they do. And they do an amazing job of getting the content, editing the content, putting it together, but they probably don't like me a whole lot because I'm texting them every 10 minutes, seeing where they're at on what they're doing, and they all do an amazing job of getting all this done within 24 hours, and their turnaround time has been very impressive.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our social medias, make sure to follow because that is where all of our exciting Friday content is and will continue to be. And I do have to give a shout out to Taylor because she helped me shoot that post-game interview with Coach Dan an hour after Harbor won last week. So we're going to have content like that for you on our social platforms. So make sure to follow along. Improvement matters, especially for young athletes looking to excel in sports. And every week, we're highlighting those who have put in the work to get better. This week, our Performance Athlete of the Week is Farmington's Ethan Kennedy. The senior basketball player has taken his game to the next level through determination and hard work. And his numbers, well, they speak for themselves, adding over 5.5 inches on his standing vertical, 5.6 inches on his approach vertical, and over 8 inches on his broad jump. The major speed improvements, they're all across the board. With Bridges Therapy Group, Kennedy able to just excel in every aspect of his game. To learn more about the program, visit srdathlete.com. That's going to do it for Varsity Vibe today on this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're headed out to a football game tonight, be safe and have fun. Remember to subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and subscribe to the newsletter. VarsityVibeArkansas.com is where you can sign up, and that gets to your inbox twice a week. A special shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay, Lewis Automotive, Bridges Therapy Group, and Quick Turf. Have a great Friday, everybody.